Yeah, the other thing about this big, beautiful bill is that it's 1,000 pages long. And there's been congressmen and women who have admitted to not having read it. I mean, it's impossible. It's too big. They've got enough paperwork to probably go through without that. And it begs the question, what is it with America and these ridiculously long bills that they're drafting? It happened in the Biden administration as well. The infamously titled inflation fighting bill, which I think was anything but that's why I think it's a bit infamous. But this one's the same sort of thing. They just hide away all these changes, major legislative changes, that people don't get a chance to scrutinise. It's outrageous. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. There should be some sort of rule saying, well, you can only have so many pages. If they have to limit the page length or the topics so that it's digestible. Because how can you have democracy work when the people are the decision makers and they're having buyer's regret after actually okaying it? I know that Blondie, Marjorie Taylor, whatever her name is, in Congress, she's a Republican, a MAGA Republican, and she's got regrets about it. Some of the things that she's put the okay to. So I think it'll get the kibosh in the Senate. I don't think they'll get enough people to okay it, so I think it'll be dead in the water, and it'll be an indication maybe that Trump's influence is starting to fade, and he may end up being a lame duck president. So I think that'll be highly likely if the Republicans get trounced in the midterms. I'm not saying it's a good thing for the country, but they've got to go fight back against him. If they don't like some of his stuff, even though they're in the same party, they're going to have to put him in his place, because he is a bully, and the only thing he understands is a bit of thuggery, I think. And you've got to make him hurt and realise that he's made a goose of himself with the chopping and changing of all these tariffs, and the business community must be tearing their hair out because they just cannot plan with what he's doing to the economy. There's a total lack of predictability, and so investment goes down the gurgler. Why would you invest in any long-term projects where you have someone like Trump, a mercurial character like Trump, in the White House? It's just asking for trouble. So yes, things haven't changed much, and I don't expect them to change much. I'm doing an update because Trump had another chance to put Putin in his place, and again has wimped out like he always is. And now people are labelling him as a weakling, and he's very much like Musk in that he cares about his reputation, and that reputation's going down the S-bend right now. So it's funny how I did actually also say that both Trump and Musk are disruptors and have that in common. Mind you, I never expected the amount of disruption that Trump's come up with. That's crazy, and I think the disruption that Musk is coming up with is a lot more positive to humanity than what Trump is doing. At least, he's providing game-changing technologies, Musk. And hopefully the Starship will be in operation in the next few years, and that will change everything. It's going to make him even richer, and it's going to give humanity an open door to exploring outer space, which will be fantastic. But Trump's disruptions, I don't think, are anywhere near as productive. They're the opposite. They're very negative and causing a lot of angst that really doesn't need to be caused. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this Doge thing in the future, because there was decisions that Musk made maybe too hastily by the looks of things, and he certainly ruffled a few feathers. But when the redundancies finally kick in, which I guess will take a year or two, the public redundancies, I'm sure there is some fat that they needed to trim. That's when you will see the savings. So the his legacy may be good in the long term, but he's taken a hit at this stage. And although I think this might be the worst of it for him. I think he might be on the recovery road and might realise he'll have to pull his head in. And of course, there are allegations that drug use may be affecting his judgment too. And we know he's not exactly averse to drugs. He was smoking dope with Joe Rogan on his podcast and not hiding it at all. Mind you, Joe wasn't hiding it too. So, and I think Joe's gone off Elon Musk and Trump as well. I don't think he's overly impressed, but he might be able to. He might be one back on Musk at some stage, but his relationship with those two men has been affected, and it's affected Joe Rogan's career. It appears everything Trump touches, you wouldn't want to get associated with the guy because he has a lot of wreckage behind him, human wreckage. So yeah, a bit of a shame because I was super optimistic after he won the election, but as soon as he took power, it started to go downhill very quickly. And I think the turning point was that disgraceful encounter in the Oval Office between him and Zelensky, and having J.D. Vance use his thuggery upon this guy who's just fighting for survival of his invaded country. The way they treated that guy was just absolutely disgraceful, in my opinion, and will go down in history as a real dark period in American democracy. It's a shame. But there it is, and we'll be able to see it time and time again. I almost cringe every time I do see it again. It was disgraceful. Well, it's Wednesday, and I'm heading off to the sports club, get another one of those delicious pizzas. But I've got a bit of got to get a few things off my chest, and the latest information I received about Donald Trump really pissed me off, and it was about, of course, Ukraine. And the information was that he is still refusing to sell Patriot missile systems, defensive missile systems, to Ukraine for US dollars. So basically, they're used only for defensive purposes to protect the civilian population from Ukraine, from attacks from Russia, which are targeted at civilians. The Ukrainians actually target military targets, not civilians. So it's but Donald Trump, for some unknown reason, has got this bromance with Vladimir Putin and thinks the guy can do no wrong. And to the extent where he says he worries about the loss of human lives. Very hollow words, Donald, considering that you refuse to provide Ukrainians with the means to protect themselves. Do you really care about human lives, or are you just full of you-know-what? I think I know the answer to that question, and I'm sickened by this guy. I've had it up to here with him. It's been a month since he's put this embargo on selling Patriot defensive missile systems to Ukraine, and I just cannot believe I'm seeing this from the leader of a supposed democratic country. Well, he will find out it's democratic when there's the midterm elections, because his MAGA colleagues are going to be wiped off the board, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a blue wave. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I have no great love for the Democrats. As a matter of fact, I think I'd like to see happen in America is what's happening in the UK, where a third force is coming in the guise of reform, who are basically dominating the polls right now, ahead of Labor, and virtually have destroyed the Conservative Party. They're basically a blip now. So Elon Musk, with his big falling out with Trump, he may well decide to bankroll a third political party in the US, it would not be beyond the realms of possibilities. When you think about it, the bitterness between those two guys is so great that I think Musk could well pull the trigger on that one. Not that Musk is particularly good at politics. He's been a total failure when it comes to trying to influence elections. He did that with one of the... it was an election up in one of the northern states. I can't remember the exact specifics, but it was for a judicial position. And his candidate, who he bankrolled quite heavily, lost quite easily. So that was a poor effort. However, if he's prepared to bankroll a third force in US politics that has a charismatic leader, maybe that could work. And I think the time might have come for that, because a lot of people will vote Democrat just because they're so pissed off with Trump. But that's not really a good reason. The other thing about Trump is that it's not only a disgusting thing to do on a humanitarian level, to just leave the citizens of Ukraine vulnerable, but it's also bloody stupid economically, because they are going to pay US dollars to America, which will help their economy, to buy these systems. So on two fronts, I cannot understand what the logic is. There is no logic. We're talking Trump here. And, it just boggles the mind. The other thing that's happened just recently is that Canada, of course, are no friends of the US right now, especially with the Trump regime in power. Now they have decided, well, they're threatening anyway, to cut off power to the US. And they do provide quite a substantial amount of electricity to the United States. So the consequences of that could be blackouts, brownouts, or increased prices, or all three. It's not a great situation, and Trump just seems to be... everything he touches turns to the proverbial. That's basically seems to be how it's going right now. Now, is it because his cognitive abilities are on the skids? Possibly. Or is he just an asshole? I think that's more likely, and I think he's actually disguised that rather well in his first term. Because I was a supporter of him. I thought, this is a guy who keeps his promises. I thought, wow, a politician who actually delivers. I was really impressed and a huge fan. But Trump Mark II is the total opposite of that. He's a psycho. Not only is he not following through with rational decisions, he's chopping and changing his decisions all the time. And now he's got he's being labelled as the taco something or other. There's a meme about him with tacos, and basically it's about him reversing all his decisions. He has no backbone to stick by what he does. So no one knows what's going to happen, because everything he does he seems to reverse anyway. The only thing he seems to be hell-bent on is destroying Ukraine. And I think he's evil, seriously evil. He's an evil collaborator with Putin. And like I say, I cannot believe this is happening. It's like a nightmare. You think a democratic country wouldn't do this. Peter Nero, I think, is the brilliant architect of this tariff policy, and he's a total goose. The other time this was tried with tariffs with another president, they had to reverse the whole policies because it was a disaster. But of course, Trump doesn't mention that. He's dumb as, from what I can gather. He's not great at 4D chess. He's just a dumbass, a very emotional, vindictive dumbass. I think there will be change fatigue by the electorate. I think electorates want a bit more certainty. Certainly businesses do, but just the average Joe wants to know that someone's going to stick by what they say. And apparently latest polls are showing that people are losing faith in Trump's ability to make rational decisions. regarding the economy. He's almost, I think he's pretty well down on all parameters. Even immigration he's now slipping on. Not one major policy area is he ahead now. So it's just been an utter disaster. And I just wonder if Trump even knows what's going on. You'd think he'd be freaking out. But he just doesn't seem to be. I mean, he should just say, look, I was wrong about the tariffs. I'm going to scrap them all. We're going for free trade, but we are going to encourage our industry. I've made a mistake. All businesses can at least go with certainty, knowing I'm not going to pull any tariffs on them. So that's what he should do, but I don't think it's going to happen. So it's just staggering, absolutely staggering. I'm watching commentary from both sides of the fence. I mean, I'm getting quite a few people who are dyed-in-the-wool Democrat supporters who are on YouTube, and I discount a lot of what they say because I know where they're coming from, and I try to find a middle ground. I mean, there's not much I can say in defence of Trump now, and it's not like I was an enthusiastic supporter of him at the beginning of the year before these policies kicked in. So I would like to think of myself as being more middle of the ground. So look, if you enjoy this little commentary, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear your comments, because these are just my opinions and you're entitled to think whatever you think. And I'd be interested to see how opinions do differ. The other thing, of course, is please subscribe if you enjoy this type of commentary. Didn't get much positive feedback last time on the following Trump. I guess it's people are probably just getting fed up with it. I understand that. I'm in the same boat. That's why I look for different topics on YouTube, because it just drives you crazy if you're just following this. Because when you've got a person who's so unpredictable, you know, it's exhausting watching them. So hopefully things will turn around. I stick to my prediction. I don't believe Trump will last 12 months. And I think that's becoming more and more likely that, for whatever reason, he will not be sitting in the president's seat in the White House for much longer. But we will see. It's very hard to predict politics. So that's one thing is a definite truism. Every time I go on a walk, that damn bus goes past. Of course, if I'm waiting for it, then there's no guarantees. No, actually the service isn't that bad. Anyway, I'm getting a bit of exercise. I'm happy about that. I just defeated a baron in Manor Lords and took his province, and that hasn't happened before, so I quite enjoyed that. Well, maybe there's a bit of Trump in me and Putin. Oh God, I better suppress those feelings. Anyway, so that's yes, it's a great little video game. It is only a game. It's not life. So it's good to get outside in the middle of winter in far north Queensland, which is a beautiful time of the year to be out and about. And Sid offered me a lift, but I said no, I want to walk there, because I haven't had a walk since Friday, so it's been a few days. So I can get very lazy in that house of mine.